Hello everybody, it's Mills, college football guy here with another video. You ever talk about the preview for week 2 here? What are the stories of week 2? I'm going to go over some of the game stories here, but as I've asked you guys, what 2 games that you want to see me do picks on? Changing things up here. What 2 games you want me to do picks on? What 2 games? So I put it up on X and I put it up on a community post on here on YouTube for you guys to vote what 2 on there. We have 2 games. The final tabulations have been decided. The 2 games that we're going to be making, I'm going to be making a pick on: the battle for the Cy-Hawk Trophy, Iowa and Iowa State, and Michigan and Oklahoma. Those are the 2 you decided. So we're going to get into some of the stories here about what's happened. It kind of refers to what happened last week and what's going to happen this week and how bad things could be. Good, crazy, fall apart. Well, we'll start off with something here about that's G5 wise. Shocked a lot of people when South Florida beat up Boise State. It happened. South Florida beat up Boise. Is South Florida that good? Is Boise that bad? What's going on? Well, we're going to know more about Boise because they're going to play Eastern Washington this week. If the offense has some troubles against Eastern Washington, that could be an issue. South Florida's in the swamp playing Florida. I'm not saying it's happening because I picked Florida. I think Florida's going to win this game. But if South Florida somehow goes into the swamp and beats the Gators, is there any doubt they're the number 1 team potentially being a candidate for making the CFP among the G5? Not saying it's happening. Another thing to look at here. 2 teams that had that just, what the hell? Problems with FCS. I mean, Kansas State and Army. Kansas State, they barely beat North Dakota. Army lost to Tarleton at home. Now they got to play each other in Manhattan, Kansas. Which one's got a better chance to make it right here? Kansas State beats Army. Okay, Kansas State gets back on track. Army beat Kansas State. What in the world's going on in Manhattan? Like, seriously, what's going on? That's something to look at here. There's a couple games I bring up here that are kind of under the radar. This is the first of them. Illinois at Duke. This is a game that, could be a lot better than people think it's going to be. Oh, Illinois, not necessarily. Duke's going to have some play in here. This has the potential to become a very damn good game. I'm really interested in this one. But I look at it and I'm like, this could be a potential to be a very, very good game. Illinois wins are definitely in position, and possibly they keep pushing forward like this, and especially a dominant win to make a college football playoff. Duke pulls off the win. We got a new player in the race for the ACC championship. Just saying here. Then we got a rivalry game that hasn't happened. It's an old rivalry game from the Southwestern Conference. It hasn't happened since 2016. Baylor against SMU. Baylor got beat up by Auburn. SMU had a good performance against East Texas A&M. Now the game's going on here. Is Baylor going to get back on track? Is SMU going to show the fact that they want to get on here? Is SMU going to get their first ever? Is SMU going to get their first ever win against Baylor? They've never beaten Baylor. Are they going to get their first ever win against Baylor in this game? We're going to see. Another game that's the radar game that could really shake some things up for me, I think. And how bad somebody can be. UConn at Syracuse. UConn won. Syracuse lost to Tennessee. Jim Mora, last year's UConn team wasn't that bad, and he's building and did some good job recruiting. If UConn heads to Syracuse and beats the Orange, how bad is it going to go nuclear up there? Jim Morris says he wants to change the culture and make this a winning culture. He pulls that off? I'm not saying it's going to happen. He pulls that off? UConn becomes a lot more attractive, and Syracuse, everybody wonders what the hell's going on. So that's a game story we love to look at here. Next one on the list here. A game that I don't expect to be anything, but oh Lord, it could be hilarious if it did. We're talking about Oklahoma State at Oregon. Everybody, including me, is expecting Oklahoma State to get boat raced in this game, to get absolutely obliterated. It may be close in the first quarter, but past that, that'll be it. Doomsday scenario. If Gundy goes in, goes up and beats Oregon, the trash talk on X is going to be legendary after that game. Quite a few Oregon State fans are on my X. Oregon loses to Oklahoma State. Oh my Lord. Would that eliminate Oregon from being consideration for the Big Ten championship picture? That blight on the record? Or did Oklahoma State actually turn it around with a very young team? We'll see. Another game that's giving me a game here. This is, I call it the other border war. Kansas at Missouri. Missouri's got a tougher schedule than they had last year. Kansas is doing well. Kansas is 2-0. Missouri's 1-0. This is a rivalry game that, you know, back in the day, that it's nice to sing this border war again. Simple question is this. Is Kansas for real? Or is Missouri going to shut them down? Because if Kansas beats Missouri in Columbia, oh boy, we got something going on in Lawrence. And a game, here's another game I think is, it goes in the line with the Oklahoma State-Oregon game in terms of being funny, but I think it's a story for me because I think it'd be funny. Delaware at Colorado. Delaware boat race Delaware State. Colorado lost to Georgia Tech. Delaware went into Boulder and beat the Fighting Primes. I mean the Buffaloes of Colorado. How fast will every Colorado fan's head explode when that happens? If it happens. I was looking at it going like, would I put it, could Delaware do it? Yes, they're capable. Most likely, no. But they're capable of pulling this off and winning this game. That could be interesting, to say the least, if that happened. This is the game, something to keep an eye on, a little side story here. Then we got the I-35 rivalry. Texas State at UTSA. Kind of ironic. A school that turned down the Pac-12, UTSA, hosting a school that will be joining the Pac-12 in 2026, Texas State. UTSA, they call this the I-35 rivalry, but it hasn't been a rivalry until last year, when Texas State beat UTSA for the first time ever. It wasn't a rivalry if one team wins every damn game. It's not a rivalry. It's a beatdown. Well, Texas State won to get their first ever win. In fact, they won 49-10. I think that's pissing UTSA off just a little bit. Can Texas State win 2 in a row? Is UTSA going to be absolutely livid because they're at home and light up Texas State? We're going to see how that's going to go here. And then we got a game, unfortunately, that is going to be postponed for a little bit. The battle for the Bayou Bucket. Houston at Rice. Because of scheduling issues, nobody has a non-con available, either one of these schools, until at least 2030. So it's going to be at least 5 years before we see this game again. So knowing the fact that it's going to be at least 5 years, both schools are going to be a little bit up for this one, especially since Houston beat Rice 33-7 last year, after Rice beat them, which really pissed them off. They came back in a dominant performance. Both schools are going to want to get that win. Who wants to stick the fork in just a little bit? Who wants to twist the knife and say, hey, it's going to be 5 years for you to remember this? Who's going to want to do that? And the last game other than the picks game is a game that I picked one way that has now completely changed. UCLA at UNLV. Taste of bad takes by me on both ends. I thought UNLV was going to have a problem with Sam Houston State. That was the first game of the year. Well, their first game of the year, they switched up was Idaho State, which was later in the year. And they struggled against Idaho State, so... But they beat Idaho State. They beat Sam Houston State. They're 2-0 right now. Offense is clicking. In fact, Calandry is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in passing yards in FBS right now. Versus Nico, the Nico era didn't start with a bang. It started with a thud against Utah. Got absolutely obliterated. And what I saw from Nico is exactly what Tennessee fans saw last year. Wide open receiver, 5 yards past him. Can't read a defense, struggling, not knowing what to do, holding on to the ball too long. The same problems at Tennessee, if this happens again, it's showing one thing that Tennessee fans have said. Tennessee made the CFP in spite of Nico, not because of him. It was Dylan Sampson and one hell of a defense that got us there. But now Nico's not playing Utah. He's playing UNLV in Vegas. Don't know how hostile the environment's going to be, but considering how sparse UCLA's had their home games attendance, I mean, there might be more people at the UNLV game than there was at UCLA's. That is horrific. That's a horrific possibility, but it looked bad. So the truck just making noise against me. I'm in a truck stop. He's pulling up next to me. I'm in a truck stop here in Mebane, North Carolina. Got delivered to Clayton tomorrow. I was supposed to deliver early, and they shut down receiving 4 hours early. Anyway, is Nico going to get his head right and be a quarterback? Or is he going to continue this progression and actually almost looks like regression because he has less talent than he had at Tennessee? And UNLV is playing far better than I thought they were going to be. I will freely admit I was wrong. I've been wrong about UCLA's start. Simply, can Nico get it together? Or is UNLV going to try to put their footprint down as being the team to get the CFP spot for the G5? We're going to see. It'll be very interesting to see how that goes. Now, the final two games I get my picks on. The battle for the Cy-Hawk Trophy. Iowa at Iowa State. Iowa has had one thing. If you know Iowa's one thing, they always have a hell of a defense. They beat people up. They've done it for, I don't know, decades at this point. In fact, 21 points in a game doesn't sound like much. 21 points or more, Iowa since 2020 is 33-1. All they need to do is score 21 points to win a game. That's scary. But that's how good their defense has been. And you got to chase them to it. Iowa likes to run the ball. Iowa State likes to pass the ball. Rocco Beck's a top 5 quarterback in FBS. I could go through all the superfluousness and all the extras and everything else about this. It comes down to one simple stat. Can Mark Gronowski, the FCS super quarterback from South Dakota State, can he pass and lead this team to a victory? Because they can't rely on the run exclusively. They can't be one-dimensional. Neither team can be. He did need a pass last game. I think about 44 yards in the last game or something like that. But they didn't have to last game. This time he has to. We're going to see how it goes. My feeling, he's going to play great. But it isn't going to be enough. I'm taking Iowa State. They're a 3.5-point home favorite. I'm taking Iowa State, and I'm laying the points. And the last game on the list, Michigan at Oklahoma. This is this crazy game. Schools have only played once before, and that was in 1976 in the Orange Bowl, January 1st. Oklahoma won the game 14-6. You got Bryce Underwood against John Mateer. This is going to be a hell of a matchup here. Bryce, the stat on there, I looked at this is funny. Threw for 251 yards last week, which is the most a Michigan quarterback, more than any Michigan quarterback threw all last year, which is sad. And Mateer threw for 392 yards last week. You gotta remember his Dan Arbuckle, his offensive coordinator from Washington State, he went to Oklahoma and Mateer followed him. Michigan has a good run game. Oklahoma can do some things defensively. They're not on there. The key to this game, you can do all the pickings and things that you want. I mean, the fact is the point spread has changed. It was Michigan by 5.5. It's now Michigan by 3.5. The line's going down. Boil the entire thing down to one question. Can Michigan's defense slow down Jean Mateer enough for Bryce Underwood to win this game? Because I don't think it's going to be the Michigan running game. The Michigan running game is going to keep the Oklahoma defense honest. Can Bryce get it done with the defense slowing down Mateer? This will be the best defense Mateer's faced in a long while. But I think this is going to be closer than expected. I'm picking Oklahoma to win it heads up. But if Michigan wins, I think it's going to be by a field goal, which means Michigan by 3.5. Give me Oklahoma in the points. Because I think if Michigan wins, it'll be by 3, which is less than the 3.5. So that appears to be what we got here for the stories of week 2. Some things that are going to be happening here during the week. I'm sure I forgot something that you like to encourage on here. We've got some matchups, some non-cons on here. But on those, I think, are the really big stories of the week in college football. But I've done enough talking. Let me know what you think about all this down in the comments. So again, thanks everybody for watching the video. If you haven't done it already, do me a favor, please smash the like button, hit the thumbs up, helps the algorithm. Comment on the video. Again, I'm picking Iowa State minus 3.5 over Iowa, and Oklahoma plus 3.5 against Michigan. Let me know what you think about those picks down in the comments, as well as what do you think about some of the stories for this week, and is there something that would happen in college football this week that would make you laugh? A funny thing that would happen that'd make you laugh? Put that down in the comments. I want to hear some of your ideas. What would crack you up? What would happen in college football this week? So let me know down in the comments. Share the video if you want to. If you haven't done a rate, share some other videos I've done. If you like them, hey, subscribe to the channel. On the road to 2K, trying to make some magic happen. You want to follow me on X, the link will be in the description. So again, thanks everybody for watching. I got another video, might be coming out tomorrow. Might be recording it right after this one. I'm debating on it right now. I got to get messages back from a few people to find out if I'm going to go ahead with it or not. So, nothing serious. Just relax. But I want to get things clarified before I do it. So, again, thanks everybody for watching. Hope everybody's having a great day. Be safe, and please, be good to each other.